Hey y'all, this is Susanna, certified nurse midwife. So this is a continuation of my video journaling. I have been just journaling my mental state pre-hysterectomy because I know there are so many women out there who are faced with this decision to have a hysterectomy, which is the removal of your uterus for so many reasons, for various reasons. And yeah, it can be quite tough mentally, just getting up to the point of making that decision and also going through the process of surgery can be quite challenging, and it does take a lot of adjustment in every way. So again, I am having surgery for adenomyosis. I've had adenomyosis for quite some time. Adenomyosis is a condition that affects the the uterine lining, the lining of the uterus. So we have the endometrial lining, which is what builds up and sheds off monthly, and that's how you get monthly cycles, menstrual cycles. And then we also have the myometrium, which is the actual muscle layer lining of the uterus. So we have the endometrium and then we have the myometrium. So in the case of adenomyosis, you have some of the endometrial lining, the tab lining, growing into the muscle lining, and that could cause a bulking of your uterus, and that could be quite painful, especially during your menstrual cycles. You do get a lot of just chronic pelvic pain in general with adenomyosis. It's actually similar to endometriosis, but just in different lining. Adenomyosis is diagnosed with MRI. So the gold standard for diagnosis of adenomyosis is MRI. They can see some evidence of adenomyosis on ultrasound. So initially, when you're having you have issues with pelvic pain or bleeding, painful periods, usually they would do, you see an OBGYN, they will do an ultrasound first, and if they do suspect adenomyosis, they usually word it as a bulk, maybe some irregular pattern noted on your ultrasound or some kind of bulky area on the ultrasound. And then they'll send you in for MRI, which is usually diagnostic. And adenomyosis is usually treated with birth control to suppress your menstrual cycle. And if that doesn't work, then, the ultimate treatment will be a hysterectomy. So anyway, I've been dealing with adenomyosis for quite some time, and I've, tried to manage it with meds, and it's not working. It's gotten to the point that it's worsening. So yeah, I am at the point where surgical management is actually needed at this point. So when I first started this video journaling, I was, like my mood was pretty down, very depressed about just the thought of having my uterus removed. I know for some people, they're like, woo, how come you should be celebrating, you should be happy about this. Yes, I should be happy about it, and I'm fine now. But then, around the time that I had to make that decision, it was quite mentally draining for me. And I've had children, so I'm blessed. Thankfully, there's some women who are faced with various issues that would require them to get their uterus removed, or maybe at some point even involuntarily if it's an emergency. So thankfully, mine has not been mine is not for an emergency reason. It's necessary, but it's on my own terms. So I'm thankful, I'm grateful for that. Speaking of mood, I'm doing much better now. I think I'm at the acceptance stage of grief. There are different stages of grief. And sometimes having a hysterectomy, which is the removal of your uterus, does cause some grieving. So allow yourself, if you're faced with this condition or any condition that would cause you to, make that decision to get a hysterectomy, allow yourself that time to just go through the grieving process. I did go through the denial process for, the grief stages of grief. The first stage, denial, and then you're angry, and then you're bargaining, and then you feel depressed, and then you finally accept. So I've gone through that denial process. I was angry for some time. I bargained. So okay, maybe if I try some birth control to suppress my menstrual cycle, maybe that would help. But I tried that for many years, and trial and error. Went through periods of trial and error, and nothing seems to be working at this point. And then I went through a phase of depression, and now I finally accepted. So I'll be going for surgery next week, and I am actually excited to get it over with now and move on with my life, because the quality of life with adenomyosis, it's pretty not very good. You have to plan your schedule wisely. You time everything correctly, because when that time comes, that time of the month, you don't want to be far from home, especially if you have a severe case of adenomyosis. So anyway, my spirits are up, you know. I'm excited about just going and getting it over with. And the upside of that is actually not having to deal with period. And of course, that also comes to other issues, but when that time comes, we'll face it. We'll face the challenge as it comes. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. And yeah, doing good today. The weekend was great. I went out to visit my mom on the East Coast because she had lost her mom, also my grandmother. So I just went to hang out with her. Weather was nice. So yeah, I, have fun hanging out with friends and family and so on. So I think I also needed her prayer, my mom's prayer. So I think I'm ready. All right. See you in the next video.